Can everyone hear me now? Oh my gosh, you guys hung out this whole time and didn't even hear the sound. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you guys stayed on that whole time. Thank you. I'm just over here talking to myself. Thank you guys for hanging out. Yay, you can hear me. Perfect. Well, so much for my fancy microphone that wasn't working. I just used oh, just use a regular mic. So, well, I won't repeat all that, but because a lot of it was just me saying, hi. Every Tuesday we go live here in the group. And so that's what you're experiencing today. Hopefully, you don't experience what we just experienced, which was that you couldn't hear me. No, we have a big announcement today. And what I was going to say is that every single Tuesday I go live, whether here in the Facebook group, if you're maybe joining on YouTube, let me know in the comments where you're joining me from. And every Tuesday I go live just to kind of talk with you guys, right? We talk about something that's happening in the industry, or we talk about maybe a struggle you may be going through. We'll bring in guest experts to talk about different things that you guys are experiencing. And today's really special because we're going to do a Q&A time. So yesterday I got to hang out with some of our Savvy Circle students who are the students that are, they're in our small group coaching program. It's for people who are making about $2,000 a month in their business already and want to scale to 10K months and beyond. So I met with them yesterday and did a Q&A, similar to this, and they had such good questions. And so I just want to challenge you guys, like as we do a Q&A today, just be open and transparent. There's no like too much of an off the wall question, right? Like ask anything, because likely if you have the question, somebody else has it too. So I'm going to share a really big announcement with you, but as I'm sharing it, go ahead and drop your questions in the comments, because I'll scroll back through and I'll see them and we can do a live Q&A time. But now that we're here, now that you can actually hear me, who wants to know what the big announcement is? We already announced it via email. So if you got the email, go ahead and put it in the comments if you know what it is. It's okay. You won't ruin the surprise for anybody else. So the big announcement that we came on today is that after years and years and years of wanting to start a podcast, saying, oh my gosh, I want to do it. I want to do it. It's just not the time. It's not the time. It's not the time. Guys, the time is finally here. Lisa said a puppy. That's funny. No, I do not have a puppy. I would not do good with a puppy in my house. We are gone way too much. I'm like, that wouldn't be fair to the puppy. That's hilarious. It's a podcast. And and I wanted to share with you a little bit of behind the scenes as you guys are dropping your questions in for the Q&A of why I started this podcast, and maybe more importantly, why I waited to start this podcast. So my methodology behind business is like, let's make things as streamlined, as simple as possible, and let's make things so much of the capacity of what they could be until we try something else, right? And so it's because I'm naturally like, a little bit all over the place. I'm naturally a big idea person, like, what if this? What if I did this? What if I did this? And I have a lot of ideas all the time. And so for me, it's really important that I actually execute on the ideas that I have, right? And so there's a lot of times I'll get a new idea and it's like, oh, yes, I want to do that. But I have to ask myself the question, is that going to help me accomplish the current goal that I'm pursuing? Or is something I'm currently doing going to help with that better? And so for the last 5 years, we've been, as you guys know, we have been doing the podcast, or not the podcast. We've been writing on our blog. We've been helping facilitate this amazing Facebook group, which you guys is about to hit 100,000 members. Did you see that? Our VA Savvies community is almost at 100,000. Like that's a lot of people. Our Facebook community is almost at 100,000 people. So we do the blog, we do that, and we do the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel has come about in the past few years, and we really wanted to make sure that we were giving you guys like so much great quality information and not convoluting that with anything else, and making sure that we're doing things 100% or at least 90% of their capacity before moving to something else. Does anybody have that problem sometimes? Like you're like, "Ooh, let me just try this new shiny thing and let me try this new shiny thing." And you never really fully do like bring the thing you're currently doing to like its full capacity. And so that is one of the things that I'm really big on in business is like, let's do something to its fullest capacity before moving on to something new. So with the virtual savvy, we've been growing and this course that teaches you guys how to become VAs, all of our free resources, the YouTube channel, all of the things we've been building, 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 building. And it got to the point where I was like, hey, I have enough capacity now. I've built up a team. I have an amazing team, as you guys know, that supports you guys day in and day out, that I can launch this second business called Hello Savvy. How many of you guys know about Hello Savvy, right? So Hello Savvy is our marketplace for VAs it's for any freelancer really to come and share about you. So it's a place where you can find really clients where you can connect on mission and values and the things that matter, right? And that's our goal, is to have a marketplace that is less about like race to the bottom dollar, and it facilitates conversation. And so when we were talking about Hello Savvy, it's like, well, the virtual savvy has a blog and it has the YouTube channel, but Hello Savvy needs a place to have that communication too, right? Because the reality is that Hello Savvy isn't just VAs, it's other freelancers, it's the clients, it's the people who are coming on and who will be hiring you guys as well, right? And so we thought, let's build some content in a new platform in a way that's going to attract that audience as well. So a lot of the content that you're going to be seeing on this new podcast is going to be higher level content. And I'm going to be really real with you guys about that, because if you need info on how to get started, how to choose your services, how to market, we have all of that. We have you covered, our blog, our YouTube channel, all of that. But we saw, man, there's still a need, because some of you guys are at this point where you're ready to scale. You're ready for higher level stuff. You're ready for like the next phase of business. So particularly on the podcast, we are going to be interviewing 6 and 7 figure business owners and really digging into what's working and what's not working at the scaling stage in business. So there's so much that's going to be in this podcast that I would encourage you guys to listen to dive into, because there's so many relevant topics, but there's certain things in it that you're like, okay, this is like, I'm not necessarily there yet. Like if we're talking about leading a team of 20 people, right? If you're like, okay, I haven't hired my first subcontractor yet, it might be like, okay, this is like really great information, but it's more back pocket for me so that I know it's there when I'm at that point in business. And I challenge you guys, like I'm always trying to read and listen to information that is where I'm at right now, but also a few steps ahead of me as well, because I think that that's how we keep growing. So how many of you guys have checked out some of the podcasts so far? We released 4 episodes today. So 2 of them are solo, 2 of them are interviews, amazing interviews from 2 of my friends, from Jacques Hopkins, who is an incredible course creator, and from Christina Nicholson, who is the PR queen. She talks about how to get featured on the media, places like the Today Show and Pat Flynn, right? So she has had so much success, not just herself, but leading her clients through PR. So again, really high level content, but stuff that you guys can definitely glean from as well. So go check out the podcast. And hey, if you leave a review, we have, in fact, check your email because we have all the details there. We'd love for you guys to actually subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, all of that. If it happens all at once in like the first, I think 24 hours, we have a chance on getting on the new and noteworthy, which is, I guess, a big deal. I don't really know, but it seems exciting. So I would love for that to happen. And we're going to be giving away $250 to somebody who does do that. So go ahead and go to hellosavvy.com. You can choose either Apple or Spotify, whichever you listen to for your podcast, and make sure that you leave a review. Okay, yay, so excited. And if you're already on our email list, you can check the email too. It gives all the details about how we'll be announcing the winner and all of that. So thank you for, tuning in for the big announcement. Let's jump into our Q&A time because that's what I want to do. I want to sit and I want to hang out with you and see what questions you have about your business. I'm going through and seeing all of the sound issue comments. So sorry, when I first joined, I had no sound. So I'm so happy that we got that figured out. Just scroll through all the no sound comments on my computer. Okay, so, one of the questions that we got asked from Luxury Concierge Bookkeeping is, can I start a website for under $20? That's a great question. So no matter what, whenever you start a website, the one thing that you're going to have to pay for on a consistent basis is going to be hosting, right? So a lot of times if you can buy hosting for an entire year, that's going to be cheaper, right? But there's lots of different hosting services out there if you're going to be building wherever you're going to be building your site, right? A lot of sites just include the hosting with it. And so some of the top places that we recommend, we love WordPress. Like if you're techie at all, like if you're completely terrified of tech, you might not want to start with WordPress, but we love WordPress and we'll use theme creators. So we use like Beaver Builder or there are different places where you can buy themes to create your WordPress site. That's one option for you if you want to go the tech route. If not, man, one of the best is just Squarespace. I love Squarespace because it wraps up all of the fees and the hosting and everything in one nice monthly fee, and you can just pay for that. There are other site builders out there as well. I know people have used like Wix and Weebly and all of those. They aren't as good for SEO, but if like at the bottom line, like if you need a website and it's just going to be like a business card for you, you're not as concerned with getting it high in search, those can work out as well, right? So again, my top two recommendations are WordPress and Squarespace. I think that they're the best all-in-one. If I were to choose one, I would probably say Squarespace for most of us, just because it is that kind of cross between being techie enough that you can, show up in search engines and have good, SEO juice going on over there. But at the same time, it is user-friendly enough that you can create a beautiful website fairly simply. So that's my recommendation when it comes to building a website. And I will say this too, a lot of us guys, I usually preach that you do not need a website to get started. You have no idea how many of our students have completely sold out their services without a website, literally with like a coming soon page on their website. And so I don't want your website to honestly be your first priority. Your first priority needs to be announcing your business to your friends and family, right? Doing our friends and family outreach that we tell you how to do on our website. And then after you've done that friends and family outreach, it's really about building personal connections. So going to local networking meetings, applying for job ops in Facebook, showing value first whenever you find somebody who has a problem that you can solve, right? That's what we want you focusing on, because your website is kind of a passive tool. Like building a website doesn't just mean that instantly people are going to find it and be customers. In fact, I think a website works best when it's just like, it's an extension of your business card. Like you meet someone or you find someone online, it's like, oh yes, here's more information on where to find me. That's what a website's going to be for most of us and when we're first starting out, right? So is it good? Yes. Should you all have a website? Yes. I usually recommend building a website after you've gotten your first client, okay? Because here's the good news. Once you have a paying client, then you can get somebody else to build your website if you don't want to build it yourself, right? Use that first invoice money to like build your website if that's something that you don't want to do personally. Let's see. Okay. So This is a really great question. I can't get my first client on discovery calls. People like what I offer, but say it's too expensive. It's in the middle of price ranges of others doing YouTube editing, SEO, and management. I already know how to do these skills. Should I lower my prices for now or keep looking for clients at my current prices? Any tips? So I don't know your prices per se, but what I do know is that if you've looked and it's kind of industry standard, then there's two things that are going on. Number one, it could be that you are meeting with the wrong type of clients, right? It could be that you are like where you're targeting your marketing and where you're getting your discovery calls right now are people that cannot afford your services. So it's not that you are too expensive, it's that they can't afford what you do. So it might just be a, well, rather than like trying to convince you to pay this price that you can't afford, like if the person can't afford your price, then it's the wrong person, right? And so I would go on and start, okay, where could I find people who actually can afford? Where do I find the clients who could afford these types of services, right? And generally, I mean, let's say if you were targeting bloggers. Okay, well, bloggers, let's not just go for like the startup blogs, people who just started within the last year or two. Let's go to like the top blogs. If I go to YouTube and I search for, smoothie recipes, what are the top 10 blogs that are coming up? Most likely places who have been in business longer, who have more search traffic, people who have large Facebook groups or larger Instagram followings or whatever. It's not always an indicator. Now, let me say that it's not always an indicator of more revenue, but that's just one of the ways. Or it may be a totally different target altogether. Maybe you say, maybe I'm not going to go after online business owners. Let me maybe go after like local business owners, but ones that I know would maybe have money as well, right? So like lawyers' offices or doctors' offices or whatever. So I do think that sometimes it is just an ideal client thing. Now, if you're like, no, I really do think that these people are my ideal client, then you have to look in the mirror. And I know this is hard, but you have to really decide like, is it me? Like, am I just not really showing the value? And that's a lot of times what I see in discovery calls that happen is that we kind of come in timid, right? We come in like, oh, here's my packages, and we just kind of list off what you'll do. You need to be sharing the value, you need to be sharing the transformation. These people have a problem. How can you solve their problem? How can you create life? This is what life A looks like. Here's what you want is life B. I'm going to get you from A to B, and here's how I'm going to do it, right? And you come in with confidence, you come in as the expert, you come in and you really truly paint the picture of the after. And if you can't say, yeah, I'm doing that in my discovery calls, then it's time to practice discovery calls, right? It's time to improve your discovery calls and to get better and better and better. And sometimes it comes from literally, and I know this is painful, you can ask your next discovery call if you can record it and go back and watch it. It is the worst thing on the planet. It is so bad. I hate watching myself do anything. Like, like I like if I'm gonna go do a speech somewhere and then I watch myself, of course, like we're all our own worst critics. So I'm like, oh, there's a mistake, right? But that's good. Like that's what you need sometimes to get better at something. So that's something that I would challenge you on as well, is truly look at your discovery calls. I wouldn't go first to your packages. There's likely, and I can't say this without looking at your packages, right? But if your packages are similar to what other people are offering, it's either the wrong audience or it's the right audience. And it's something that's happening in your discovery calls that are preventing people from saying yes. Okay, so good. Oh my gosh, here is a really good question. What is the best way to create a daily routine as a stay-at-home mom working part-time from home? Oh my goodness, I get this so much because I started my business when I had a 2-year-old and I was pregnant with my second kid, right? So I was stay-at-home mom all the way. My kids are now in elementary school and I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, except for summer, which it is now, but except for summer, it's like, oh, my kids go to school and I get like an actual almost full work day. It's like 5 hours at least. So that's nice. But like, I feel you and I've been there. And so for me, it didn't actually start with work. It started with creating a routine in my daily life. And I think this is good for anyone, even if you don't have kids or you have kids in school or your kids are grown and out of the house, creating an ideal week for yourself of what would I love for my week to look like? And really space it out. Some people call it time blocking. So I don't always start inside of like a Google Calendar. I will literally like write Monday through Sunday on a piece of paper and just write out like, man, what would I love for my week to look like? I would love for it to include self care. I would love for it to include plenty of work time, maybe 15, 20 hours of working. I would love for it to include really time with my kids where I'm not like, oh yeah, like distracted. I want to be with my kids, right? Like when I'm with them, I want to be with them. So like what's that time going to look like? Because there's anything I've learned from having children and running a business, it's that I can focus on my business or I can focus on my children. I can't do both at once. Like, I mean, I can like if they're watching a movie, I can get some good work done because I'm actually focused on work. I'm not focused on my children right then, right? And I think that's okay. Part of it is giving yourself the grace to know like it's okay that I have other things in my life that I'm pursuing, right? I can be both a great mom and a great business owner. And so it's coming up with the right balance for you. You may say like, okay, like I'm going to work so freaking hard to get my kids on the same nap schedule. Or if one of them's not on a nap schedule, then I'm going to like let them have their TV time during that one's nap. And so that's when I'm going to work on my business during the day, or I'm going to wake up before everybody else, or I'm going to stay up a little bit later. I'm going to do a babysitting swap with another mom. Hey, like what if I take your kids on Mondays and you take my kids on Thursdays and we swap, right? And so that way, when you're with your children, you can be fully with your children. When you're with your work, you can be fully with your work. You're just going to be happier that way. Like when I feel like I'm divided, does anybody else like who has kids feel this way too? When I feel like I'm like partially with my work, I feel like guilty for not doing my work. And when I feel like I'm partially with my kids, I feel guilty for not being with my kids. And it's just like, if I just say, this is work time, this is kid time, then it's all great, right? And then I actually feel fully present, which is the goal in all of our life is to be fully present and actually living our life. And so that would be my recommendation is come up with that ideal schedule. Do not be afraid to ask for work or for help. Do not be afraid to, if you have other people in your life that you can do, like I said, a babysitting swap one day a week with. If you have, somebody, a mom or a dad or a grandparent or somebody who is able to help a little bit. Like I think sometimes we're just like, I have to be able to do it all. No, you don't. None of us are supposed to do it all. Get help. When I first started my business, my goal wasn't even to like make a ton of money. My goal literally, I was like, I hate cleaning my house. Like I have never, some of you guys clean to relax. I just do not understand that. I am like, nope, like I hate cleaning in every aspect of the word. And so I was living in a basement apartment with one window. It was this tiny little apartment. And I said, I'm going to get someone to come clean my house. It's only like 1,000 square feet, but man, I'm gonna get somebody in here to clean it and to clean that one window that we have in the entire apartment, right? Like, and that was my goal in the beginning because I'm like, I just want to enjoy my life. And so, and I don't enjoy cleaning. So let me not do the things that I don't enjoy. And so it became, how can I be fully present with my kids? How can I ask for help? And when asking for help too, one of the things that I learned is that it's okay for my kids to have other people in their life who love them and want to spend time with them. Like, I don't know if anybody else gets this. Like, I used to feel guilty dropping my kids off at like at my mom's house, at their grandparents. I would literally feel guilty. And I'm like, what am I like? Why am I feeling guilty for this? Like, I'm not going to rob them from the relationship with somebody other than me. Like, it's okay for our kids to have relationships with other people as well, right? And have other people who love them and care about them, take care of them. So, yeah, that was just some of my life lessons I learned in that journey that I hope are helpful for you as well. I hope you guys are feeling me with this. Yes, I feel divided as well. Oh my gosh, I get it. And it's harder when your kids are younger. Like right now, my kids are 6 and 8. So they're still at like that age where it's kind of difficult. And my son is like, he just wants to snuggle all the time and I love him, but also I'm like, mama's working. So, but I can tell my kids, hey, go play outside, or you can't do that with like a 2-year-old necessarily. So it definitely, there are some challenges. So my biggest thing is like, just don't be afraid to ask for help. That's totally fine. Um, yeah. Great question. I need to hear this. Stay at home, work at home mom. We homeschool. Our days are wild. Yep. I totally get that. It can be crazy. And so just, come up with your ideal schedule and it's not going to be perfect. Whatever your ideal schedule is, it's that I'm going to try to follow this the best as possible. And when it doesn't go exactly as according to plan, let's try the next day? Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so this is a great question from Kristen. What is the best way to close the deal with a potential client after sending the proposal? So, one of the things that I am a huge fan of, and some people don't like this, but one of the things that I really enjoy doing is actually during your discovery call saying like, hey, does this seem like a good fit? And like it's really scary, and so you'll have to do is write down this phrase and then like make yourself say it, because like if you're not a salesperson, which I mean I think less than 3% of people in the world are natural salespeople, so it's okay if you're not a natural salesperson. But if you at the very end of your discovery call actually say like, all right, is this something that you think that we could, what, hold on, I need to like, if I'm going to say write down an exact phrase, I should have the exact phrase for you. Okay. So, does this sound like something that you'd be ready to commit to today? Okay. Is this something you'd be willing to commit to today? And so that question is going to literally make them go, like, no, I need to think about da. But some of them are going to say yes. And so, if they say no, then you can ask the question, all right, what would it take to get you there? And you can actually deal with those objections right there in the call. And if you can get, like, sometimes I've known people who have done their contracts and who have done even sent their first invoice like right there still on the discovery call. The quicker you can close the deal, the better. And so if you can do any of that actually during your discovery call, that'd be my first recommendation. Okay. And then if they're just like, no, I just need more time. I want to figure some things out. I need to move some numbers. I need to talk to somebody else, whatever. Then before you get off the discovery call, what I would say is, okay, that's totally fine. Let's go ahead. I'm going to send you the proposal and the invoice, and let's book a call for 2 days from now, or 3 days from now, or this Friday, or whatever, where we can go ahead and finalize everything. Okay. So it's going ahead and again, trying to make this happen while you're actually talking with them, because it's not pressure. Like if they're going to say no, they're going to say no, and that's fine. But sometimes people just kind of need help making the commitment, right? And one of the things that I would also recommend is having a prepared ahead of time list of objections. So if you've been in business long enough that you know what some of the objections that you're getting are, list those out and be ready to combat them, right? So like, I just don't think it's the right time. It's too expensive. Could you reduce the price for me? I whatever you think, I need to do XYZ first before I hire you. Like there's like the common objections, right? And so if you know that they're common, then go ahead and prepare for them, and before your discovery call, and it can be templatized. It can be something that you use for every single discovery call. But before you go into it, go ahead and be prepared for how you're going to face those objections. And part of that is really just asking, what's stopping you today from making that commitment? And it's scary, but the more you do it, it actually does get easier. Okay. So really great question. And then obviously follow up, follow up, follow up. But I think that following up in the way of like booking another call while you're on your current call is like the fail proof way to do it. Um, let's see. Such a good question, Kristen. Also, what's the best way to find clients aside from Upwork, Indeed, and etc.? Well, in September we're gonna have Hella Savvy. So we're gonna have job opportunities posted there, obviously. So excited that so many of you have already joined the wait list for Hello Savvy. In addition, in our VA Savvies community, there are jobs posted every single day. And I will tell you guys that it is a small number of people that are actually going after and getting those jobs. The people who are going there and showing value first, you think there's 100,000 people in this group. There's 100 comments on this post. Guys, out of 100 people potentially like applying to that job op, I guarantee you it is less than 10 that are actually going above and beyond and showing value first. It is a small percentage of people. It's like be the 1% of people who actually go above and beyond and personalize your video, right? Like shoot a Loom video, share with them like, hey, I created these Pinterest images for you. Hey, I took a look at your website and here's the SEO feedback I have already. I'm just going to go ahead and give this to you now for free. There's a difference between working for free for people. Sometimes people are like, Abby, I thought you said don't work for free. I'm like, no. I don't want you to work for free. Please do not sign like an ongoing engagement to do VA services for somebody for $0. That is not my goal. However, if you go above and beyond and you're like, hey, I did this 5-minute YouTube audit on your YouTube channel and I wanted just to send it to you for free, like those 5 minutes could land you the client of a lifetime. So value first is so worth it. So those would be some of my recommendations. We also have a free training. I'm not sure if you've taken it already, the virtualsavvy.com/BBO. And I talk about 3 different methods for getting clients inside of that training as well. So definitely go and check it out. It's a really good training. Okay. What? Oh, here's a great question. Oh, they're all from Kristen. Kristen, you were asking so many good questions. I keep clicking on yours. I'm just going to keep answering them because they're really good, but I promise I'll get to other people's questions as well. I keep looking at the question before I look at the person who answered them, but they're good questions, Kristen. What's the top 3 ways to scale your VA business? I have one client. I'm having a hard time locking down other clients and finding other potential clients. Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, right? Is just the finding other avenues. And what I would say is, pick a strategy. If you're trying to do a lot of different strategies, if you're like, I'm kind of on Instagram and I'm kind of in Facebook groups and I'm kind of doing local networking meetings and I'm kind of on Upwork and Indeed and I'm kind of over here and over here. Well, I would narrow. There's a book called Essentialism, which is an incredible book, and it talks about taking like our focus, which is going in 100 different directions, and narrowing it, and how all that energy is going so many different places. If you just narrow it down and put all that energy into one outlet, how much further you'll go. So if you're like, man, what feels best now that I've tried all these different outlets is Instagram or is Facebook groups or is, Upwork or whatever. Like, whatever it is, narrow down and go hardcore, go all in for, I would say, an entire month. Learn everything you can about how to get clients on that platform. Learn everything you can about how to get clients through local networking meetings, how to get clients through LinkedIn, whatever it may be. Learn everything you can about that specific thing and then just do it and do it hardcore and try different methods on that one platform for an entire month and see if it picks up traction. And if it's like this isn't picking up traction at all, and this looks more appealing, it's okay to shift. But I'm telling you, the methods work if you can just stay committed and not be like a little bit here, a little bit there. So that would be my recommendation as well. What are some tips to scale your business? Such a good question. So scaling looks like a lot of different things to different people. So let me first define how I define scale. So inside of your business, we talk about launch. The launch phase is when you're kind of getting everything ready, right? You are, oh, I got my EIN number. I figured out what my services are going to be. Oh, this is what I'm going to charge. It's all the things you do before you like announce to the world, I have a business, I'm ready to take clients. So it's like all of the pre stuff, right? That's your launch phase. Your growth phase is really marketing. It is marketing, and that needs to be your main focus during growth phase. And that I think some of the reason people never get to the scale phase is because they're trying to do scale stuff inside of growth phase. If you're like trying to get everything, I'm not saying you shouldn't have systems and processes, but if you're like naturally a systems person, you're going to avoid marketing. And so I think that happens a lot of times is that we're like, ooh, let me rework my workflow. Let me reorganize this. Let me reorganize my desktop. Let me try a new system. Ooh, I was using Honeybook, but I want to switch to Dubsado. And you're doing all of like your systems and stuff and like working so hard on that. And you don't even have any clients yet. And it's like, no, 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 no. The growth phase, your goal is marketing, 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 marketing. Okay. And your systems are gonna they will catch up along the way, right? And then scaling to me is once you have a full load where you say, this is all I can handle. Like I have 20 hours a week and I have 20 hours a week filled with client work. And yep, this is as far as I can go on my own. That's where I feel like the scale phase is. So there's different ways to scale. You can offer like a new higher end package, right? You can do a high ticket package. You could do a VIP day. You could up level and become more of like an OBM. You could you can build a team. My favorite out of all of them is building the team. I think that having a high end systematized package with a team helping you fulfill it is one of the ways to get the most freedom in your business. And so that is the goal for most of like our VAs. I talked about Savvy Circle. That's what we're teaching them how to do, right? But you don't need to do that if we're not in growth phase. And you definitely don't need to do growth yet if you're not in launch phase, right? So it's launch first, then grow, then scale. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Um, let's see. And as far as learning the new skills and everything, yes, Savvy Vault is just the place to be. It offers WordPress, Squarespace. We have over 70 courses. By the end of the year, we'll have over 100 tech and industry trainings. I know somebody mentioned like they wanted to know more about the real estate niche. We have a real estate VA course in there. And so Savvy Vault is definitely the place to be if that's something that you're interested in, is improving your tech skills. All right. What other questions do we have? Oh, this is a great question. From Kristen. I love it. Kristen, you're awesome. Thanks for asking so many good questions. Do you feel it would be best to have a digital business card, a QR code, or a physical card? So I like physical business cards. I think that a lot of times, especially if you're doing local networking, which I recommend you do, and it's just good to have on you, right? Like, you end up talking about your business while you're at your nail salon, and the girl runs a side business, or her brother has a business. She's like, oh my gosh, my brother needs your stuff so bad. Something physical to hand is I just think it makes a bigger impact. So I'm a big fan of physical business cards. With that said, one of my recommendations is to not order a ton of them because you may end up changing your business along the way. I remember when I first got business cards, I had my phone number on them, and now I'm like, oh my goodness, I would not just hand my phone number out to anybody. I got really protective about my personal phone number. And so, yeah, it's like, let me only include this information, or my business pivoted and I changed my name, or I whatever it may be. And so I would say order 100, 200. You can use Vistaprint, you can use Canva now, and so it costs a little bit more per card, and Vistaprint will always get you where it's like, oh, you ordered 100. Do you want to add an extra 100? So if you want to order 200, just order 100, and the Vistaprint will go ahead and prompt you to order another 100 for cheaper. That's like an insider tip. So, but yeah, you can use these platforms, but just do a couple hundred would be my recommendation, because you'll see that like over time, you'll probably want to shift them, and you don't want to have like 5,000 business cards sitting in your closet that you spent money on that you're never going to use. Okay. Let's see. Is there a paid internship that exists for aspiring virtual assistants? So we don't offer a paid internship. That's not something that I know of. But to be honest, like my recommendation for most people, especially like we do have our course, right? The Savvy system, which I know you mentioned in a previous question. Um, and not everybody can afford the Savvy system right in the beginning. It's, for the basic package, it's like 147 a month. And so that really easily can come with your first client. So many of our people have said, you know what, Abby, I'm going to go out and I'm going to use your free resources. I'm going to use the community. I'm going to ask questions in these live streams. That's going to help me get to my first client. And then I'm going to invest in the Savvy system. And for those people, they're the people that I have seen at least to get the best results, because they're the kind of people that put their eye on the prize and say, okay, like, it's that figure it outedness that is going to actually help you really, really succeed. And I believe in having a course. I believe in having a template and a blueprint for what you're doing. But we've got tons of free resources on how to choose your packaging and your prices and to get your first client and all of that. So I would use those free resources in the beginning, get scrappy, and then when you're ready, the course is just so nice because it's the blueprint, right? It's all the templates and it does so much of the work for you. So that would be my recommendation. Such good questions, you guys. I love the sweater. Thank you. Thank you. This is a old virtual savvy sweater, but we are actually, guys, another big announcement coming in June is that there might be more fun sweaters and things on the horizon. So just a little teaser out there for you for what might be coming. Um, okay, here's a good question. I've been thinking about reaching out to local lawyers' offices, not sure how to even approach them. So I'm curious, Maria, if you already have like a connection to that industry in any regard. So I usually tell people not to niche down in the beginning unless they have a connection to the industry. So there's a reason why you chose lawyers' offices. Is that because you have a connection to the industry? If so, I would talk with that connection, find out where um, other lawyers in your city are spending their time, right? Are there certain conventions or conferences or whatever that they're hanging out at? I know there's been people who have done like lunch and learns, right? Where they will like actually physically invite people to have lunch. It's like lunch on me, and then they get to network a little bit, and then you tell about your services. So there are ways to reach out to individual business owners, but my first recommendation is just like kind of more like the question behind the question is, why did you choose that niche? Is it because you already have a connection to that industry? If so, how could you utilize that current connection to find out, like to ask this question more directly? That would be my recommendation. Local networking, guys, it makes a huge, huge difference. Talking to people in your local community. Darla says, I'm currently working a full-time job. I'm starting this so I can leave my job. Any suggestions for getting clients and scheduling? Most job ops I've seen need more hours during business hours. So I will say this, let us know if you're seeing job opportunities that are contractor positions that they say that you have to be available during the day. Because as a contractor, I need everyone to hear this. You are a contractor. No one can tell you when or how you work, okay? If somebody is doing that, it is illegal. So as a contractor, they can say like, "Hey, can you be on this call?" But they can't say you must be on this call, okay, at this specific time. Like that's just not the way a contractor relationship works. A contractor chooses their own hours. They choose when and how they will work. And so there's tons of people, all that to say, Darla, there's are lots and lots of people. I don't know if other people listening today could raise their hand and say, yep, I'm doing this while working a full-time job too. It For those people, it happens in the evenings and the weekends, okay? And sometimes early in the day, depending on what kind of job you have. So just know that it can be done. It has been done, and your correspondence will just be in the evenings, and that is totally fine, okay? So don't stress out about that part of it. And then it might be that if like you're not finding success with like the job opportunities in our VA Savvies community, that is one of many places to look for jobs as well. Okay. So it might be that you try a LinkedIn strategy for a while, or that you try you know, attending local networking events that a lot of those happen actually in the evenings and on the weekends. So I would maybe, like I was mentioning earlier, try a platform, go all in on it for a while with a really good strategy, and then yeah, and then go from there. Let's see. Um, So Pinterest management course you'd recommend? Yes, we have one inside of Savvy Vault, you guys. Savvy Vault. Let me just type it here because I feel like we've gotten a few questions that were like tech and skill related. Savvy Vault is the place to learn tech and industry skills for your business. It is $47 a month, but it's cancel anytime. So you can literally say, all right, this is going to be my Savvy Vault month. I'm going to go in, I'm going to binge these 5 courses, and then I'm going to cancel after a month. We don't care. We just want you guys to get what you need out of this. And it's incredible resources. Many of our VAs just say, hey, this is just going to be a monthly reoccurring expense because I like having Savvy Vault in my back pocket to learn new systems. And we do tech Q&As in there. I mean, there's so much incredible information inside of Savvy Vault. So if you haven't already checked it out, that is the place to go. We have a Pinterest management course. So, so good. This is a really good question, Samantha. How do we know when our skill set matches your price? How do you know you're charging for your worth? Oh my gosh, I love this. So, you know, I like almost working backwards when it comes to this question. So, I like it when I'm talking to VAs about like setting their pricing. I actually don't usually start with like their services or their packet. A lot of times I will just start with the money. Like, how much money do you want or need to make? You know? And a lot of people, we have that number, right? And there's no wrong answer to that. But the amount of money that you are expecting or desiring to make, let's say in the next 6 months, 6 months from now, how much money would you like to be making from your VA business? And you guys put this in the comments if you want. I'd love to hear from you. So let's say that it is, okay, I'm going to try to do some really bad math, right? Math is not my forte. But let's say that you're wanting to make before taxes, because taxes is, we have an actual calculator that we use with our students. So I'm going to be doing this kind of janky style on my phone. But let's say you want to make $3,000 a month, okay? And let's say that you have 30 hours a week to work. So you have of roughly 120 hours a month, okay? That means that your rate would need to be about $25 an hour. Okay, $25 an hour, easy. Like, you can start off doing just general admin skills at $25 an hour, and really a lot of VAs start at closer to 30, right? But let's say you doubled that number. You still have 30 hours a week to work, but you don't want to make 3,000 a month. You want to be taking home like 5,000. So you're like, man, I need to make 6,000 a month. Okay. So now instead of needing $25 an hour, you need to be making $50 an hour. So then the question comes, all right, what are $50 an hour tasks, right? And it's generally not general admin. Okay. And so that's where it's like, okay, I need to increase my skill set. So there's usually basic, specialized, and then advanced skills that you can learn. And that $50 an hour range is a lot of times things that are just a little bit more advanced of and more niche. So I'm going to be a Pinterest manager or a YouTube manager, right? Or I'm going to learn something that is not just doing tasks, but is actually infusing a little bit of strategy into what I'm doing as well. And then some of you guys are like, I want to be making $10,000 months, right? And so there's a couple different ways to do that. Number one, you can just do something that's really high end, super cut. Like, I'm going to create funnels, or I'm going to do really high end Facebook ads, and you can get by yourself, and you could be charging essentially $100 an hour plus with, doing those really, really, really high end technical skills or high strategy skills. Or you can stick to like that $50 an hour task, but you just say, well, I'm going to charge $50 an hour for this. I'm going to pay somebody else $20 an hour, And that way, as I build my team, I'm making more and more, but I'm subcontracting out the work, right? So there's really just different ways to approach it. So it would kind of be like, how much do you want to make? And then what avenue do you want to do that in? My goal for most people is to start off as a general admin, kind of charging that $25, $30 an hour, getting to know the different tech, getting to learn different clients. A lot of us, it's like, I don't want to choose a specialty. I don't want to go all in as a Pinterest manager if I know nothing about Pinterest, right? Do a little bit of everything, do general admin. And the more you start working with clients and getting to know the different tools, the different tech, I always say this, that like, you won't find your niche will find you, right? There will be something, there will be this one client, or there'll be this one task that you're like, oh, this is it, this is my thing, so allow yourself that experience, allow yourself to live in the general admin world a little bit until you say, okay, now this is going to be my more specialized niche skill. For most of us, some of us came in and you're like, hey, I just worked at a graphic design agency for the last 10 years. Like, I'm ready to go with a niche skill. I can already do those $100 an hour tasks. Well, of course, go ahead and do those, right? Like, I'm not saying not do that. I'm just saying, if you're kind of starting from ground zero, which is where I was, I knew nothing about any of this. I think one of the best things to do is to start with general admin. How do we get clients to give us their user IDs and passwords via LastPass? So that needs to be part of your onboarding, is figuring out which passwords you will need. You don't need all of them. And then there's LastPass, there's OneDrive, or is OneDrive one of them? LastPass Dashlane is another one that we use, which is that password manager. So I think one of the biggest things is just really explaining how it works, because you want your clients to understand that their safety and security is your top priority. And so only ask for the passwords that you absolutely need. And a lot of these business owners may already have password sharing software. And if they don't, then I would just highly recommend it. It's your job to say, hey, I need these passwords to do XYZ. So the safest way to give them to me is this, okay? And then you can let them actually handle setting it up and everything, because it will need to be like their Dashlane or their LastPass in order to hand you that password, okay? So a good price point. So we talked about this a little bit, how those like at general admin tasks are the best to start with. That's like that $25 to $30 an hour range generally is what people will start with. So we have a lot of blog posts. So if you literally just go to thevirtualsavvy.com/blog, you're going to find so much information. And we have and our YouTube channel too, right? YouTube.com/Abbey Ashley. You're going to find YouTube videos on how to set your rates, how to figure out your prices, how to do your packages, right? We have examples from our past students on how to put their pricing into packages. So I could do an entire live stream on this today, but since we only have a few more minutes, I'm going to actually just direct you to the blog and the YouTube channel to actually look at those examples on how to set your rates, how to do a package. There's tons of great information there, okay? Let's see. I want to start this journey. I'm new to it. I'm a business major and have experience in hiring, interviewing. Ooh, awesome. How can I niche down to a high-end service with my current skills? So if you have experience, so here's what I would do. If you're wanting to like make money right away, I think that virtual assistants is the fastest way to make money online. And so what I would do if I were in your shoes and I wanted to like make money like ASAP, I would still start with general admin. I would include hiring, interviewing, customer service in your list of skills. However, and start getting clients with general admin, right? Just start kind of working in that way, because that's going to be the fastest way just to get money. As you're doing that, any of your spare time, I would start talking to these business owners, talking to people who need hiring, interviewing help. Who are those kinds of people? They're going to be the more successful business owners. Probably at least six-figure business owners are the ones that are starting to really start thinking about hiring and interviewing, right? And so that could be a really amazing customized service that you could offer. Another thing is to look into being an OBM. I have a good friend, Sarah Noked, and she has a great program on becoming an online business manager, which involves kind of the hiring, interviewing, and managing teams. So you should go check out her information as well. I know she has like a big OBM week coming up soon. So I'd recommend checking that out as well. Awesome. I saw my banner up here. All right. I really like the VA calculator you have in the Savvy system. It is very, very helpful. Can you be successful as a weekend virtual assistant? I love that phrase. I think that you could. If it was up to me, I would probably sell packages that were very like a productized package. Let me explain this. If it was me that wanted to only make money on the weekends, I didn't want to work during the week at all, I would likely learn a skill that has a very hard deliverable that you could send in 1 week phases. For instance, um, if you learn how to build websites, right? Which again, you could literally jump into Savvy Vault and learn how to build Squarespace websites, and yay, now you have a skill, right? So I would become like a Squarespace web designer, right? And say, here is my 4-step process. Step one, we jump on a call, or you don't even have to do a call. Step one, you fill out this form, you give me all of your assets, da da da. Step two, I provide an outline. Step three, I give you your final draft of your website. And step four is, you have a week to review and we make changes to your website, whatever it is, right? And then you just take on however many clients you can handle on the weekends, and then you only do that work in the weekends, right? So if I was going to be only a weekend VA, and so I'm not saying you have to build websites, I'm saying one of the things that would probably be good is that if you're not wanting to be like there every instant, is to do a service where you don't have to be there every instant. Another option is VIP days, which is something my friend Jordan Gills, she talks about a lot. And she talks about how to, make money by selling just these VIP 1-day experiences, which is a really great option as well. So that would be my recommendation, is to do something that is more just like, here is what you're getting, it's delivered, right? Instead of like this ongoing support, which is what a lot of times general VAs do. Um, how do you explain or get people to understand what a virtual assistant is or does? So I'll give you my like quick elevator speech if you guys want to hear it. I will say, because I have like what I tell you guys, but then there's what I say to people that I meet like on the street. I teach people to become virtual assistants. Oh, what's a virtual assistant? A virtual assistant is basically an admin. So it could be marketing, technical, creative, that if you would hire them in your office to do the work, that administrative work, they just do the work remotely. So it could be blogging, it could be sending invoices, answering emails, all those things can be done remotely. So a virtual assistant literally, instead of coming in an office to do that for small business owners, just does it from their own home. You pay them as a contractor, which is actually way better for the business owner because they are only paying for maybe 20 hours a month as opposed to an entire full-time or part-time employee. That's how I say it. I don't know, do you guys have like a similar like way that you explain what it is? And most people get it after that. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that's the way I explain it. Oh, this is a fun one. How should launch day look? So a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm want to plan like a specific day, which I think can be really fun. Just know that like it's going to feel so big to you. And then you will have people that will celebrate you, but it might not be like the doors are knocking down, people are elbowing to get to my website, like it's okay. Launch day for me is literally just when you announce your business, when you tell friends and family, hey, here's this new venture that I'm doing. And I think you can do it very soon. I think a lot of times people get this idea that they need to be so far along, that they need to have their website perfect and their branding perfect and everything perfect. But I'm like, launch day can be like 4 days after you find out what a VA is if you want, it's just like, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm excited about it. And the earlier you can get that ball rolling, the earlier you can start telling people about your business, even if you don't have everything done and perfect, the better, because that ball starts rolling sooner, 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 sooner. So, launch day to me is generally like, where are you showing up already personally? Where do your friends and family know about you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Are you, whatever? Just tell people on that platform, on your personal platform, here's what I'm doing. I would normally say, like, you don't need to have a website created. I would have a Facebook page just so people can like read a little bit more. Maybe make a few posts on there where you explain what a virtual assistant is. Maybe post your portfolio on there, right? So they can be like, oh, this is what you're doing. Cool. But yeah, to me, it's literally just telling the world. We have something on our website called the personal outreach template. thevirtualsavvy.com/swag. Right here, we have something called the personal outreach template. And for me, launch day is announcing on my socials and then sending this template out. Like, that's it, right? And then it just means that you're officially ready to start taking clients. So it's a very exciting thing. Once you do it, schedule, celebrate it, right? Even if you don't get like your first discovery call that day, like, know that you announced your business, you told people, and celebrate that, because that's one of the scariest things to do. So go have dinner somewhere nice or something, go celebrate that you've launched. Yes, the OBM coach, her name is Sarah Noked, Noked. She's awesome. If you're looking to be an online business manager, I would totally recommend her. Yes, you can celebrate. It's a big step to step out. I signed up for Virtual Savvy in the Vault. I've been watched and still need to finish program. I officially launch in November. Yay, so good. I love it, Lisa. Love, love, love seeing your journey. Let's see. If we've done VA work for a while before being in a program, can we still have an effective launch day? Yes, of course. Like, relaunch if you want to. Like, make a big announcement about like, hey, here's the new direction or a new name. Like, there's always reasons to do that outreach. If you've pivoted your business at all, you can do that same kind of launch model, just with a different mindset. I'll try. Virtual assistant performs regular admin work, etc., remotely. Yeah. And always, I feel like the moment where people go, oh, is when I start like giving them examples of tasks. We were talking about, how do you tell people like what a VA is? And for me, it's when I say, a lot of times VAs, even if it's not the skills I do, if it's the skills you do, then that's going to be the best thing to say. Like, here's some examples of what I do. I will do calendar management, or I will answer these small businesses. I'll answer their email inbox. I will, do research for them. I will book travel for them. I will, when you start naming things, then people go, oh, it's like, for some reason, like, all the words don't make sense until you actually start listing out the tasks that you do. I think it's so funny. Like, you can say, like, your mission, like, I help entrepreneurs get, go from stressed to not overwhelmed. That'd be a really terrible mission statement, but you know what I mean? Like, you can say like your nice and pretty one, and then people are like, cool. So how do you do that? And then you actually say, oh, like, I answer their inbox, and they're like, oh, I can use that, So I'm really into just telling people the actual like tasks that you do, and include the result, because the result, talking about their pain point, talking about their result is important. And I do that a lot in like marketing, is talking about pain points, talking about the end result, talking about that journey from A to B. But sometimes the very first time I meet someone, if they don't know what a VA is, I'm like, yeah, I write blog posts and I schedule social media. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So just a little side tip there for you. Oh, this is good. I tell them it's like an assistant on steroids. They can do the normal scheduling in addition to social media, build websites, etc. Yeah. Depending on what all your services are, you know? So very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out today. Don't forget to go and leave a review on the podcast. You have a chance to win $250. We're going to be choosing one person who leaves a review and screenshots it, sends it to us, and says, "Hey, I left a review." And we'll be choosing one of you guys to win a $250 gift card, which we will be announcing on Friday. So make sure you go and do it today, right now. Just go leave a quick review, like, "Yay, I love." It doesn't have to even be a review of the podcast. Just be like, "I love Abby. She's so cool," and that's fine. Just any kind of review and rating really, really does help us, and I truly appreciate if you would take, just a minute to do that. So thank you guys so much again. I hope you have an awesome rest of the day, and we will chat again soon. Bye.